They didn't conduct an experiment. They were just observing.
Right.
Like what happened?
Exactly. And if you are just observing, you cannot say that one thing causes, you can't conclude that one thing causes another thing, or that one thing helps against something else, right? They're concluding that one thing affects another thing. So you can't do that. So this is a giant pitfall. Brenda, go ahead and read.
Concluding that one variable causes the other variable when in fact the variables are only correlated or associated together. Two variables that seem linked are smoking and pulse rate. We can now conclude the one causes the other. Correlation does not imply causality.
Right. So in observations, we can only, if we're just observing things, we can only say that two things are correlated, are related. We can't say that one causes the other one. So that's kind of, on an exam, if you had something like that, you would say, in something like this previous problem, you would say, what's wrong with the conclusion? You can't say that one thing causes the other one because it's an observation. That'd be the easiest way of that'd be the easiest answer. I'm sorry?
Research was like the correlation between these two variables seems kind of far-fetched, that you can get a conclusion and see that.
Well, we're going to read right now and see what is really going on. Sky, can you read for us? Yep.
Okay. But randomized controlled trials show that HRT caused a small but statistically significant increase in risk of CHE. Reanalysis of this data from the
Epidemiological
study showed that women undertaking HRT were more likely to use higher socioeconomic groups ABC1 with better than average diet and exercise regimens. The use of HRT and decreased incidence of coronary heart disease were coincident effects of a common cause, i.e. the benefits associated with a higher socioeconomic status, rather than a direct cause and effect, as has been supposed.
Exactly. So hormone replacement therapy is optional. So a lot of insurance doesn't cover it. So people who do HRT tend to be more affluent, right? Higher socioeconomic group. And because in the higher socioeconomic group, they are more likely to have hormone replacement therapy, and they're also they also have a better than average diet and exercise regimen, so they're also less likely to have coronary heart disease. So the fact that both of those things go along with this higher economic group, that's what's causing that correlation between the two. Good. So just like Ulysses was saying, it doesn't seem like they're related, and they're not. It's a third thing that's causing both of them. So you can't say that one thing causes the other one. Now we're going to switch on to Chapter 2, Organizing Data. So we started this last class, so flip over to your Chapter 2 notes, which is, I think, page 3. And this is kind of what we did last class, right? We had raw data, and in that raw data, this is not good. I can't. So in that raw data, we sorted out that it's harder to show data in raw data. So instead, you can put it into a table like this, where you have all the different possibilities for answers, and then how often each one of those answers occurred. So the classes are sort of like the possible answers, and then the frequencies are how often those occurred. Now, the last thing we did was I asked you guys to think about, here's the problem. I have data, and maybe let me try to get in there. So I don't know if you guys can go to our Google Drive. Sorry, our Google. See if I can find it. Or maybe this is it. Yep. Okay, so everybody go here. I'm going to paste it into our chat. Yes, send. So go to this spreadsheet. Is everybody there? So everybody hop in there. Now, at the bottom, do you guys see where it says 5 p.m. at the bottom down here? I'm down at the bottom of the screen down here. Click on the 5 p.m. That's us. This is our raw data for the first one. And then, so down here at the bottom, 5 p.m. And then scroll down a little bit. And depending on what group you're in, put in how many days a year you drink coffee. Ulysses must be in group 4. No? Somebody else. So put in how many days a year you drink coffee. If you're in group 4, just pick one of the spots and put it in there. You can have at least 0, at most 365. Yeah. Just say last year. Say the last 365 days.
Can that be a rough estimation?
Yes, it should be. It probably will be, most likely. I mean, if you happen to know, that's great. Take your best guess. If you do not have access to this for whatever reason, then just tell me what group you're in and how many days you are. Just say, Ms. Young, I'm group 2, blank days. Just tell me that. So we're missing a lot here.
I am group 6, and I'll probably get about 10 cups of coffee.
Great. 10 days a year?
10 cups in the past year.
10, well, how many days? So 10 days you've had coffee in the past year? Okay, anybody else? Group 2, there's more than 2 of you in there. Group 4, Group 5, there's more than 2 of you in there too. Group 8. And again, if you can't get in there, it's okay, just tell me your group name, your group number, and how many days.
I think I'm in the wrong table.
Did you go to 5 p.m. down here at the bottom?
Yeah.
And then you scroll down a little bit.
Oh, okay. I was in the how many siblings do you have?
Yeah. So you got to kind of scroll down here a little bit. The siblings is up top. You got to kind of scroll down a little bit, down to the bottom. Down here. All right. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and copy them. Well, first I'm going to set up my table. So I need to have classes. Right. So in this case, it's going to be days you drink coffee. Okay, and I want this, I cut it off a little bit, so I'm going to make this a little bit wider. So I'm going to grab this little, see how if I'm here, I have a white arrow if I'm on the eye. If over here I'm on the eye, I have a white arrow. But if I go right between them, I have this arrow that goes back and forth. I can left click drag and make this smaller or larger. So I can make that larger. And then I want frequency, and I want relative frequency. And let me make those yellow. So I'm going to highlight them, and then I'm going to go to this little bucket here and make those yellow. And then these guys here, well, okay, so here's my thing. I have raw data. So my question to you guys is, how do I show this raw data? This is what I have. I can't redo the experiment. I spent $5,000 getting these numbers. This is my raw data. We should have more data than that. Come on, guys, fill it in. And if you don't, just tell your neighbor and have your neighbor fill it in. What if it's impractical to have each value on its own line? I can't have a table. I can't do a table and have 365 options here. I can't do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 365 here. That's just too many, right? So what do I do instead with this data? So I'm going to put you guys in your breakout rooms. Don't write on your, don't go to your Jamboards. Just talk about this. What else can I do to display this data in a table somehow? Okay, 60 seconds, go. And have your neighbors put it in. If you can't put it in, have someone in your group put it in for you. Okay, so what do you guys come up with for how can we show this data in some sort of presentable table form? Any suggestions? Go ahead. Oh, anyone?
I think she said grouping.
Oh, grouping them. Yeah, totally. We can totally group them. Right? So that's typically what we do, is we group them. So like we'd go 0 days to 60 days would be in one group, 61 to 121 would be in another group, 122 to 108 would be in another group, and so forth. So this is how I decided to group it. How many classes are there? And is each class the same size? So everyone take a look at that and tell me how many classes are there, and is every class the same size? 30 seconds on your own. Go ahead. Okay. So how many classes are there, guys? Private chat me. How many classes are there, and if they're the same size or not? Heard from 3 people, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm not saying what the class size is. I'm saying how many classes are there. So how many classes are there? How many different distinct groups are there? So, okay, great. So we have, looks like most of you guys have the number of classes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes. Do you guys see that? This is the first one, 0 to 60. The next one, 61 to 121. The third one here. So there's 6 classes. So are they all the same size? Yeah, they all have 61 items in them. So, for example, 0 to 60, if I count from 1 to 60, that's 60 items, plus 0 days, that's 61 possibilities in there. Does that make sense? So they all have a length of 61. So they are actually all the same size. Oops. Uh-oh, what happened? There we go. And so here are my classes. I'll use my little paint bucket here and make them blue, I guess. And then maybe these guys, I'll make them sort of like a very, very light gray. Okay, so here are my classes. Here are my titles up here. Now I need to find the frequency of these ones. How many people have 0 to 60? How many have 61 to 121? So I'm going to cut and paste all of my data into one column. So I'm going to left click drag, and I'm going to do Control C to copy, and then go down here at the bottom and Control V to paste it. I'm going to do that with all of them. Left click drag, Control C, go down here, Control V, Control C, Control V. So you'll be using this a bit in Excel. All right, and then I'm going to highlight all of my data. And I'm going to sort it. So I'm going to go to Data, Sort Range, because I only want to sort the stuff that I've highlighted, not everything. And I'm going to sort it, I'm just going to sort it. Uh-oh, Don't edit it while I'm doing it, guys. Come on. Okay. Now they're in order, and I want to count how many are between 0 and 60. So again, anytime you use a formula, you have to start or a formula of any type, any sort of computation. You have to start with equals, because then it knows it's a formula. So equals, and I'm going to use the count formula. Count parentheses. This will count numbers for me. It only works with numbers, and I want to count parentheses, and I'm going to left-click drag all the ones I want, 0 to 60. There's 60 ends there. So I'm going to stop I'm going to stop clicking, left clicking, and I'm going to hit enter. And then that gives me that one, 24 of those. Now I want to know how many are between 61 and 121 equals count parentheses. Again, that counts numbers between 61 and 121. So 61 and 121, that's here, just here and here. That's it. So that's 2. And then here, you can also use count A. Count A is for counting if you only care if there's an entry, it can be numerical or alphabetical. 122 to 182. So this counts as either numerical or alphabetical. 122 to 182, is that what I said? 122 to 182, just those two. Huh. Okay. 183 to 243 equals count A. Whoops. Parentheses. Don't forget the equal signs. 183. Ooh, I went too far. Darn it. It does that. If you hold it down, you can't hold it down. It'll just jump like crazy. $182 to 243. Seriously? There's just one of them. Not even worth it. Escape. If you want to get out, somebody said escape, I'll get out. There's only one of those. 183 to 243. 183 to 243. There's only one of them. And then 300. 243 to 304. To 304. There's only 2 in that spot between 240 and 304. So I'm not gonna bother typing. So I'm just gonna do that. And then here I'm gonna do my count A. Count. Just gonna do count. It's easier. I'm gonna drag this down. If I drag it down, it won't jump on me. I can control it a little bit better. These guys. Okay. You can have 365 and a half. That's totally bogus. So if somebody gives you bogus, oh, they're saying every day including leap year. Yeah, I'm just going to make it 365. I'm going to ignore the leap years. Sorry, guys. So it's every day including leap years. That makes total sense. But I'm just going to leave it like that. So this is my frequency. And then we want what we call relative frequency. Ariana, I got you. You're good. Thanks for letting me know. So then here, that's what we kind of did here. So now we're going to talk about relative frequency. So how about Jamila? Go ahead and read for us.
Okay. It is also useful to find the percent of the total that each class, grouped or ungrouped, represents. We call this the relative frequency because it shows how the data is related to the total. Find the total of the frequency, or total number of data values. Find the fraction of each class frequency over the total frequency.
Right. So basically, it's the percent that's in each class. How do you find the percent in each class? You take the number in each class, divide by the total. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the number of each class. So here I have 24. I'm going to divide by the total. Oh, what's my total? Ooh, good question. Escape. I need to find my total first. So here, I'm going to find my total. I need to sum up all these numbers here. So I'm going to find that little sum number. This one right here, the sum, that's summation. And I'm going to sum what? These guys here. Left click drag, hit enter, 40 people. Okay, great. So equals 24 divided by the division sign on my computer, and then click on this one. Enter. Next one, oh, so it looks like it's 60%. This one is 2 divided by 40, so it equals this one divided by the total. So it's the ratio of your frequency divided by the total. So what percent? So 5% are in this class, 60%, 0.6, 60% are in this class, equals this divided by that, and then equals this divided by, I'm just going to divide by 40 because that's easier, equals 2 divided by 40 equals 9 divided by 40. Okay, great. So these are the frequencies. And notice how they're not all the same number of decimal places. I could make them be all the same number of decimal places if I wanted to. If I highlighted all of them, I can make them all have, this increases or decreases the number of decimal places. So let's make them all 2. I can make them all 3, or I can make them less. So this makes them more or less up here, this button with the zeros and little arrows. So I'll make them all have the same number so they aren't rounded. Cool, let's take a quick break. We'll come back at 6:28. So we'll see you guys soon. Quick 10-minute break. If anybody has questions, go ahead and ask them. Oh, yeah, so that's a good question. Yeah, so you can use the Google Sheets for that if you want. However, you're on your own for some of the instructions. I give the instructions for Excel, and you may have to figure some things out on your own. Just do them in Google Sheets. And at the end, you're going to have to save it. So you have to do this whole file download.
Download it to PDF.
No, not as a PDF. No, that will not work. Download it as a Microsoft Excel sheet. If you download it as a PDF, it's going to screw it up and it's not going to give you everything that I need. Microsoft Excel. Yeah. In fact, I've already changed that on the.
You can get Excel for free though.
Yeah, you do.
You can download it from I think you go to.
Office 365.
All the Office applications. Yeah.
Yep.
And you just use your Zone Mail login. So that's easier for you. That's what I did personally.
Right. So if you go to our homepage, the very, very bottom, like she was saying, here is the very bottom, downloading Office 365 for free. Click on that. And this is Office 365 for Education. All you need is your Zone Mail email account. So you guys all have a Zone Mail email account, even if you don't know it. You have one associated with your Canvas account.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. As a quick comment on that, it will end up giving you this. If you download it, it will install Team, which is kind of an annoying app. So you might want to disable or uninstall Team. So I think I gave some links on how to do that somewhere. Not sure where I did that. That's an excellent question. Where did I do that? Oh, maybe here. Yep. Yeah, so if you go to the part about Excel here, how to with Excel, it's here's a link for how to turn off Team, a video on how to turn off Team. It takes you like a minute. It's really quick and easy.